couple of times or something like that. But anyways, she takes a shower at the Fortress of Solitude and she says, hey, are you peeping on me with your x-ray vision? And honestly, if I was Superman, shit, I would have peeped too. Have you seen her? Lois Lane, bad, bro. Quit playing. Alright, today we're doing one of my favorite movies and one of my favorite general representations of Superman overall. If you don't know, we've been getting a lot of evil Supermans these last couple of years, like Omni-Man and Homelander. We've been getting a lot of evil Supermans as of recently. And besides Superman versus the Elite, All-Star Superman is another super clean representation of how Superman should behave and how Superman actually affects the world. Unfortunately, the movie skips over a lot of the stuff that the comic does, but the movie still manages to get the general idea and the general message of what Superman is about. So if you want to see everything Superman did, just read the comic. I know niggas don't like to read anymore, so just to watch a YouTube video of somebody else reading it for you. Alright, All-Star Superman starts off pretty boring, not gonna lie to you. It's just a bunch of exposition about how Superman's life started off, so we just gonna skip past the boring shit. So Superman's in a spaceship and he's trying to stop this random ship from going into the sun. Now I ain't gonna cap, these are the chillest astronauts ever, because these niggas are way too nonchalant about approaching their impending doom. But stuff starts to get active because one of the astronauts turned into Solomon Grundy, and it turns out this big old monster is being controlled by Lex Luthor. So the green monster starts spazzing and destroying stuff. So then it cuts to Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen, and Luthor's on some full-on roleplay junk. He's on some Dungeons and Dragons type shit. But anyways, Superman pulls up. They get ejected by the astronauts. Superman gets so charged up because he's close to the sun, basically he creates this plot armor force field that saves the astronauts. But this is also around the time that it gets revealed that he is about to die, because the same thing that's giving him power is too much for him to handle. The suns are overpowering his cells and it's killing him. So at the same time, while he's the strongest he's ever been, he's also dying. So bro returns to the Daily Planet and he comes back as a dork, because you know, he has to pretend to be Clark Kent. But anyways, none of this useless chatting matters. What really matters is that he reveals that he's Superman to Lois. And I just don't understand, like, how did Lois not know this whole time? Like, how did she never figure that out? Well, apparently she figured it out a couple of times, but Superman managed to lie his way out. Batman might have covered for him a couple of times or something like that. But anyways, she takes a shower at the Fortress of Solitude and she says, hey, are you peeping on me with your x-ray vision? And honestly, if I was Superman, shit, I would have peeped too. Have you seen her? Lois Lane, bad, bro. Quit playing. But anyways, he starts showing her around the Fortress of Solitude and whatnot. The Fortress of Solitude is the ultimate random ass place. Like, he just has a whole bunch of gadgets and shit. Then she walks off and goes to some sort of cloning area, and Superman acts pretty weird about it, but then it's just kind of brushed off. Anyways, Superman and Lois Lane continue their weak ass date, and I know what you're wondering, when is some action gonna happen? Well, there is no action for like the first 25 minutes of the movie. So anyways, Lois starts tweaking off the Hennessy and she starts getting paranoid and shit, to eventually she just decides to turn on Superman. She pulls out this kryptonite blaster and shoots his ass, but it turns out Superman's so supercharged that he's immune to kryptonite at the moment. But he don't even tweak about it. He knows that she's tripping. He's just like, babe, chill out, come on, quit playing. As a gift for you, I'll make you Superman for one day. That's right, Superman has a serum prepared that can literally turn anyone into Superman for 24 hours. Lois Lane takes it and they both go on a trip. They start flying and whatnot until they hear some havoc being wreaked. It's these freaky ass monsters and aliens and whatnot. Some other superheroes have already arrived and apparently they're from a different century, but they try to hit on Superman's bay. Like, what is going on? That's clearly his bay. You can clearly see that they came together, but they in suggesting all these kind of challenges and whatnot that they should do to try and get his bay, and Superman is not having it. What is up with every single movie? They be trying to test Superman gangster. They be trying to test him like he's a weak ass nigga. Like, what is going on? Then Superman has to ball out and prove that he not weak like that for real. He really been in the streets, like he really be getting active for real. So anyways, these dumbass niggas stole a necklace from some dimension or something like that and give it to Lois Lane, and then the person who belongs to spazzes out and traps Lois Lane coma-like state, and the person who traps him looks like some kind of Yu-Gi-Oh character, looks like a pharaoh, so he won't free Lois Lane unless Superman answers an impossible question. I'm not even gonna lie, the question wasn't even that impossible. He literally figured out the question through a newspaper. This shit was trash. Anyways, these guys still want to challenge him for Lois Lane, so he finally gets to the business and he arm wrestles with both of them at the same time and completely smashes them, like dogs them, leave them lying on the floor, bro. Broke damn near half the island. Anyways, at the end of the day, they go towards the moon and start kissing on some weird junk. Then they come back. So Lois Lane powers wear off and Superman flies off. But when he comes back, we see him as Clark Kent. And for some reason, he wants to interview Lex Luthor. And oddly enough, Lex Luthor really likes Clark. He likes the humanity in Clark. He thinks that Clark is literally the opposite of Superman, which is funny because Superman is Clark, obviously. He thinks that Superman's existence devalues humanity and that no one can ever achieve his level because of his biology. And to some extent, Lex Luthor is right. No one will ever be on Superman Superman's level, but that's not really the point of Superman. So anyways, they start walking around the prison and they see Parasite, and Parasite easily busts out this prison once he sees Superman's power level. He starts tweaking for that power level. He needs it. He starts wrecking bodyguards. He starts wrecking prisoners. He starts wrecking everybody to get the Superman. So they start spraying tear gas on him, trying to distract him, but that junk does not work. So Clark ends up working double time, saving all these guards and whatnot and prisoners at the same time while trying to pretend to be Clark. He's protecting Lex Luthor. He's protecting prisoners, all while running from Parasite. So anyways, they beat Parasite, and then Lex Luthor just crash out. He goes on demon time. He starts insulting him. He starts stomping on him. He even spits on him. But anyways, it turns out Lex Luthor could have escaped prison anytime he wanted to, but that was never the goal. He's going to let himself be executed because his goal was to kill Superman. He knows that by bringing Superman towards the sun, that he overcharged his cells and that Superman's going to die eventually. But he's only comfortable with himself dying unless Superman dies first. Superman tells Lois that he's gonna die, and that's why he's told her the truth finally after, like, I don't know, how long has he been lying to her? 10, 15 years? And Lois is not having that. She's trying to figure out a scheme to get him alive or whatnot, but it just don't matter. So I'm even gonna cap. We get some big ass filler with this Krypton shit, bro. So Superman has been gone for a while, and while he's been gone, his Kryptonian relatives have taken over Metropolis at least. They're really scummy and think they're a higher superiority. They act like Saiyans, but they had the racism of Frieza. So Superman goes to pay them a visit and lets them know what's going on. He tries to get them to check in, but they tripping. They pulled up to his crib and they boot ganged his shit. They took all his shit, bro. They replaced his statues. They took his robots, killed a lot of his monsters, took all his shit, and then all they do is chastise him. They chastise him and then beat his ass and jump him for no reason. What did they need to jump him for? They send him throwing him down like a meteor, bruh. So he out here trying to pretend to be Clark Kent, and they just watching this shit like, what the fuck is bro doing? I know he is not pretending to be one of these weak, pathetic humans. Oh no, we're gonna have to jump him again. While they talk about how trash Superman is, they start losing their powers, and it turns out they're infected with kryptonite. So she starts losing her sight and she turns blind. So these guys are on their deathbed. They're in their last final hours of living, and Superman gives them one option to live longer. He puts them into the Phantom Zone. That was the only option for them to live longer. And I ain't gonna lie, that whole little scenario, that whole little spot right there, bro, that was basically filler, bro. Basically filler, bro. All that could have been cut out, bro. Is this Naruto? Is this an anime? Bro, this is not an anime. All that garbage they had in there could have been removed. They could have spent this time fleshing out Lex Luthor. They could have spent this time fleshing out Superman. They could have spent this time fleshing out Lois Lane. But instead, they tried to bring in and they tried to shoehorn random Kryptonians. This is worse than when they tried to shoehorn Captain Marvel into the MCU. But at least they kind of did that successfully. At least they kind of did that all right. You know, that wasn't too bad. But I just find it weird that these characters were introduced in the movie and then died in the movie. Like, that's just crazy. So Lex Luthor is getting to his execution and he gets the electric chair. But he gets up because nothing happens. It turns out he absorbed a Superman serum. He hacked one of Superman's robots, boot ganged him, and he's Superman for 24 hours. Lex Luthor is completely abusing Superman's power. This guy thinks he's a god, bro. He thinks he's him. He's walking around crazy. He's walking around reckless. And he gives Superman a distraction. He gives Superman something to fight while he's basically trying to plan over to take over the world with a being called Solaris. This freaking sun machine thing. It's like a mixture of both. It's like a mixture of all these things. It's really weird. He changes suns or like stops suns or whatever. So apparently he has the sun as a red sun or whatever. So Superman goes out to space and tries to stop the Sun Eater or whatever. And he brings all his robots. They're all fighting him. And first of all, the sun is not that close to Earth. Like, it's not that even close to Earth, like, at all. So how is he wrapping up the sun like that? And it shows like the Earth in the background big as hell. Like, the Earth should be looking like a marble from the sun's perspective. And eventually he takes the thing down, but unfortunately all his robots have to die in the process. Also, Superman definitely kills this thing. Like, yeah, he for sure killed that thing. A lot of people don't know this. They think he's like Batman, where he has a strict moral code of not killing people, but it really doesn't. Superman only kills as a last resort. And honestly, I would have killed that guy too, or thing or machine or whatever. It can talk, but it's like a machine or something. I don't know. Lois Lane and Jimmy Olsen are there distracting Lex Luthor while he monologues and talks about how cool he is and about what he's getting and what he's about to do. And they're criticizing him, and they even call him out on his hypocrisy. But you know, you can't prove narcissists. You can't never tell a narcissist that he's a hypocrite. It'll never work. But anyways, Lex Luthor pulls up, but it don't matter because Clark Kent pulls up with a gravity gun and shoots Lex Luthor. And he did it as Clark Kent. I guess he just wanted to give away his identity because he pulls up with the same gravity gun as Superman and he keeps hitting him multiple times. So they're fighting, but Lex Luthor eventually destroys the gravity gun. And eventually they go into a train station. They start fighting through a train station, and Lex Luthor beats his ass on the train station. Then he starts carrying his ass, walking on air outside of the train station, declares himself president, declares that he's about to take over this world. And then randomly he just stops, like Euphoria, like bro staring at the sky like he's Gojo. He's floating on air. Then he starts talking about all this random gibberish. Like bro has literally turned into a mad scientist. He's absolutely tweaking. But before he can do anything that he's thinking about, it turns out out the gravity gun actually did have an effect on him. Gravity gun lowered the amount of time he had to be Superman. And this is where one of my favorite quotes come up. Lex Luthor says with the power of Superman, he could have saved the world. But Superman says, no, if you really wanted to save the world, you could have did it a long time ago. And Lex Luthor admits if he really wanted to, he could have. Superman sacrifices himself, and that's the end of the movie. All-Star Superman's, man, it's one of the best movies for Superman ever. Like I already said at the start of the video, All-Star Superman is one of the best representations of Superman and what he stands for and what he's supposed to be doing as a person. So a lot of people forget that Superman is a Superman at the end of the day. Like, he's a human being. He has parents, he has human relationships, he has a girl he likes. He's literally just a man. A good man, but a man nonetheless. So that being said, man, I hope you guys enjoy, and make sure you hit that sub button already. Peace.
I know that the movie and it ain't quick. Don't get sad cause move didn't quit. You don't gotta get that in a throw fit. Just hit the sub button and let me move you. Just hit the sub button and let me move you. Just hit the sub button and let me move you.